In the mist-covered mountains of Chongqing, where the Yangtze River carves through ancient stone, there exists a place that defies the boundary between worlds. A city built not for the living, but for the dead. For more than 2,000 years, pilgrims have climbed these sacred slopes. Emperors have feared it. Monks have blessed it. And the dead? They say the dead have walked its paths since the dawn of Chinese civilization. This is Fengdu, the ghost city of China. And tonight, we descend into its secrets. 170 kilometers downstream from Chongqing, on the northern bank of the Yangtze River, stands Ming Mountain. To the casual observer, it appears like any other peak in China's endless landscape, but this mountain holds a darkness, a purpose. The Chinese call it Fengdu Ghost, the ghost city. This sprawling complex of temples, shrines, and monasteries wasn't built to honor gods or emperors. It was constructed as a mirror of the afterlife itself, a physical manifestation of Diyu, the Chinese underworld, modeled after Yudu, the capital of hell. The legend begins in the Eastern Han Dynasty, nearly 2,000 years ago. Two imperial officials, Yin Chongsheng and Wang Fangping, grew weary of the corruption and chaos of court life. They abandoned their positions, their wealth, their very identities, and retreated to Ming Mountain to practice Taoist self-cultivation. Through years of meditation, fasting, and ritual, they achieved what every mortal fears is impossible. They became immortal, but immortality came with a price. During the Tang Dynasty, their names became fused in popular mythology. Yin and Wang. Together, the characters form Yin Wang, which in Chinese means king of the underworld. The mountain where they achieved enlightenment became known as the dwelling place of the king of hell himself. And so, Fengdu's transformation began. What started as a place of spiritual pursuit became something far darker. By the Ming Dynasty, temples dedicated to death, judgment, and torture lined the mountainside. Artists carved demon faces into stone. Sculptors created tableaux of suffering so vivid, so terrifying, that visitors claimed they could hear the screams of the damned echoing through the corridors. The Chinese believe that when you die, your soul doesn't simply vanish. It embarks on a journey. And every soul, whether virtuous or wicked, must pass through Fengdu before reaching its final destination. This is not metaphor. This is not folklore. For millions of Chinese, this is the truth of death itself. According to ancient Chinese belief, the journey through death requires passage through 3 tests. 3 trials that measure the weight of your soul, the truth of your character, the virtue of your life. Fail these tests, and you descend into torments unimaginable. Pass them, and you may yet find peace. The first test awaits halfway up Ming Mountain. A stone bridge, built during the Ming Dynasty, spans a pool of still water. The Chinese call it Nai Kiao, the bridge of helplessness. It has 3 arches. Only the middle arch is used for judgment. The rules are precise, ritualistic. They vary depending on your age, your gender, your marital status. Ancient texts dictate exactly how many steps you must take, how you must hold your arms, whether you must walk with eyes open or closed. The demons wait at the edges. In traditional belief, if you are virtuous, you walk across unhindered. Your footsteps are light. The stone beneath you remains solid. But if you have lived a life of cruelty, of deceit, of betrayal, the demons see through you. They push, they grab, and you fall into the square pools below, where your journey ends in darkness. Today, tourists walk across this bridge, laughing, taking photographs, treating it as curiosity. But the locals know better. They avoid the middle arch. They take the side bridges, called the Golden Bridge and the Silver Bridge, which are said to bring good fortune to the living. Even now, in an age of science and skepticism, the old fears remain. The second test is more terrifying still. Beyond the bridge lies Gaiman Gate, the Ghost Gate, the gate of hell itself. Here, enormous sculptures of 18 ferocious demons stand guard. Their faces are contorted in eternal rage. Their hands grip chains, spears, implements of torture. This is the ghost torturing pass, where every soul must present itself before Yanluo Wang, the king of hell, for judgment. Yanluo Wang is not a god of mercy. In both ancient and modern depictions, he appears as a massive figure with a scowling red face, bulging eyes, and a long black beard. He wears traditional robes and a judge's cap bearing the character for king. In his presence, there is no escape, no lies, no hiding from the truth of what you have done. His minions include a scribe who holds a book listing every soul and the exact date of death for every life that has ever been or ever will be. Your name is in that book. Your sins are recorded in that book. And Oxhead and Horseface, the fearsome guardians of hell, bring each newly dead soul before him, one by one, for judgment. This is the second test, and few pass it easily. But there is one test more. At the entrance to Tianzi Palace, the palace of the Son of Heaven, stands a large stone, the stone of final judgment. Every soul must stand on the stone, on one leg, for 3 minutes. The virtuous can do this with ease. Their balance is steady, their conscience is clear. But the evil cannot hold their position. They tremble, they fall, and when they fall, they are seized by demons and dragged screaming into the depths of hell. Tianzi Palace itself is the largest and oldest building in Fengdu, over 300 years old. It serves as the office of Yama, the earthly seat of the king of hell. Inside, the walls are covered with paintings and sculptures depicting the tortures that await the wicked. Bodies being boiled in oil, tongues being ripped out, flesh being flayed from bone. These are not meant to entertain. They are meant to warn, to terrify, to remind the living that every action, every choice, every sin will be accounted for. But the trials of Fengdu do not end with 3 tests. The Chinese conception of the underworld is vast, bureaucratic, merciless. It is divided into 10 courts, each ruled by a different Yama king, each responsible for judging a specific category of sin. Welcome to the 10 courts of hell. The first court is ruled by Qingwang Wang. Here, souls are sorted. The virtuous are allowed to proceed directly to reincarnation, or, in rare cases, to the pure land of the West. But most souls are not so fortunate. They are sent deeper into the maze of judgment. The second court, ruled by Shujiang Wang, punishes dishonest go-betweens, fraudulent trustees, and ignorant doctors. Here, the dead are submerged in pools of filth and frozen in lakes of ice. The third court deals with unjust officials, forgers, slanderers. The fourth court punishes the miserly rich and those who withheld knowledge that could have saved others. The fifth court is ruled by Yanluo Wang himself. Here, the most serious crimes are judged: murder, violence, sexual immorality. The tortures are beyond description. The sixth court, known as the Court of Screaming Torture and Administrative Errors, is perhaps the most feared. It is said that many souls are sent here not for crimes they committed, but for bureaucratic mistakes in the records of the dead. A name misspelled, a date miscalculated, and so they suffer endlessly for errors that were never their own. The seventh court punishes violators of graves and those who consume human flesh. The eighth punishes those lacking in filial piety, perhaps the greatest sin in Chinese culture. The ninth court oversees the city of those who died by accident, including suicides. These souls cannot be reborn unless they find another accident victim to take their place. And the 10th court, ruled by Zhuanlun Wang, is where final judgment is passed. Here, the soul drinks the tea of forgetfulness, administered by the goddess Meng Po, which erases all memory of punishment and past lives. Then the soul is placed on the wheel of life and sent back to Earth, reborn as a human, an animal, or, in the worst cases, as a hungry ghost condemned to wander the earth in eternal torment. In Fengdu, these 10 courts are not abstract concepts. They are physical places, temples, halls, chambers filled with statues depicting every imaginable torture. One statue shows a criminal bound to an iron pillar while an ox-headed demon uses copper blades to peel the skin from his face, as a butcher flays a pig. Another shows souls being ground in a mill, their bodies crushed to dust, only to be restored and crushed again, forever. These images are not hidden away. They are displayed openly, vividly, so that visitors can see, can understand, can fear what awaits them if they stray from the path of virtue. But Fengdu holds one more secret, one final terror. On the hillside, visible from the river below, is a sculpture unlike any other in China. A massive face, carved directly into the mountainside, 138 meters long, 217 meters tall. The Ghost King. The face is said to depict Yama himself, or perhaps a guardian of the underworld. Its expression is neutral, almost serene, but its sheer size inspires a primal fear. This is not a god to be worshipped. This is a force to be reckoned with. The sculpture holds the Guinness World Record for the largest rock carving in the world. Yet few outside China know it exists. In the 1980s, workers restoring the city uncovered ancient carvings buried beneath centuries of soil and vegetation. What they found shocked even the most hardened archaeologists. Demon faces, hundreds of them, each depicting a different fear, deceit, greed, betrayal, rage. The artists who carved these faces understood the human psyche. They knew that the most terrifying monsters are not external. They are the shadows we carry within ourselves. Local monks believe the carvings serve a dual purpose. They warn the living, and they guide the dead. Some say that at night, when the mist rolls in from the Yangtze, the faces seem to move, to watch, to judge. Even today, in an age of smartphones and skyscrapers, the rituals of Fengdu continue. During the Ghost Festival, held on the 15th day of the 7th lunar month, the gates of hell are believed to open. The dead return to the world of the living, and the living must appease them. Families bring offerings, food, incense, paper money, intricately folded and burnt so that the smoke carries it to the afterlife. They burn paper houses, paper cars, paper servants, paper televisions, everything their ancestors might need for comfort in the world beyond. At temples throughout Fengdu, monks chant sutras through the night. Taoist priests perform rituals to transmute the suffering of the deceased. Rice is thrown into the air to feed wandering spirits who have no families to remember them. The smell of incense hangs heavy in the air. The sound of chanting echoes off the stone walls. And in the darkness, candles flicker, casting long shadows that seem almost alive. It is said that if you listen closely during the Ghost Festival, you can hear whispers, voices that don't belong to the living, prayers from the dead, asking to be remembered. This is not superstition to the people of Fengdu. This is tradition. This is duty. This is the unbreakable bond between the living and the dead, and it has continued, uninterrupted, for 2,000 years. But in the late 20th century, Fengdu faced a new kind of judgment, not from gods or demons, but from progress. In 1994, construction began on the Three Gorges Dam, the largest hydroelectric dam in the world. The dam would control flooding along the Yangtze, generate clean energy, and transform the region's economy. But it came at a cost. As the waters of the Yangtze began to rise, entire cities were swallowed. 13 cities, 140 towns, 1,352 villages. Over 4 million people were displaced, relocated to new settlements built on higher ground. Fengdu was among them. Much of the old city now lies beneath the surface of the Yangtze, submerged in water so deep that sunlight cannot reach it. Ancient streets where pilgrims once walked are now silent, drowned in darkness. The ghost city itself, perched on Ming Mountain, survived, but it became an island separated from the reconstructed city of Fengdu by the swollen river. To reach it now, visitors must take a ferry, ascending by cable car to the temples that cling to the mountainside. Some say the flood was a warning, that disturbing a river angered the spirits, that the restless dead were not pleased. In the years since the dam was completed, strange things have been reported. Equipment malfunctions, unexplained sounds in the night, workers who claim they've seen figures moving through the mist where no one should be. Perhaps it's coincidence, perhaps it's fear, or perhaps, in drowning the city of the dead, humanity crossed a line that should never have been crossed. Archaeologists dismissed the legends. They call Fengdu a cultural artifact, a product of religious syncretism, where Buddhism, Taoism, and folk belief merged over centuries to create a shared mythology of death. They point to similar underworlds in other cultures. Egypt had Duat, Greece had Hades, Christianity has hell. Every civilization, it seems, needs a place where the wicked are punished and the virtuous are rewarded. But the faithful see something deeper. They point to phenomena that science cannot explain. Magnetic anomalies around certain temples. Fog that appears suddenly, even on clear days, and dissipates just as quickly. Acoustic effects that cause voices to echo strangely, as if the mountain itself were speaking. And then there are the personal experiences. The tourists who visit Fengdu as a lark, expecting kitsch and tourist traps, but leave shaken, unable to explain the sense of dread that overwhelmed them in certain chambers. The local guides who refuse to enter specific temples after dark, no matter how much they're paid. The monks who claim they've seen things, not metaphors, not visions, but actual figures, translucent and silent, standing in doorways that should be empty. Are these hallucinations? Mass delusion? Or is there something about Fengdu, something in the stone and the air, and the accumulated belief of millions, that makes the barrier between worlds thinner here? Science has no answer. And perhaps, in the end, that's the point. Every culture has its underworld. Every religion has its reckoning. But China built Fengdu, a city where death itself is mapped in stone, where the abstract becomes concrete, where the judgment of the soul is not a distant threat, but a physical journey you can walk, step by terrifying step. Stand on the bridge of helplessness and imagine the weight of your sins. Pass through the ghost gate and feel the eyes of demons upon you. Enter the 10 courts of hell and see, in vivid detail, the consequences of every cruelty, every betrayal, every moment of weakness. This is what makes Fengdu different. This is what makes it endure. It is not a church where you passively receive moral instruction. It is an experience, a confrontation, a mirror held up to your soul, forcing you to ask, if I died today, if I stood before Yanluo Wang, if I balanced on that stone on one leg for 3 minutes, would I pass the test? The answer is not always comforting, but that, perhaps, is the greatest gift Fengdu offers. The chance to change. The reminder that death is not distant, not abstract, but inevitable, and that how we live matters. Not because of rewards in heaven or punishments in hell, but because every action, every choice, every kindness or cruelty shapes the world we leave behind. The dead may be gone, but they are not forgotten. The living may walk in light, but the shadows remain. And Fengdu, the ghost city of China, stands as it has for 2,000 years. A testament to fear, a monument to faith, a bridge between worlds. Whether you believe in gods or ghosts, in heaven or hell, one truth remains universal. Every soul must face judgment. Every life must be accounted for. And every journey, no matter how long or short, must eventually cross its bridge. The only question is, when you reach that bridge, Will you be ready? The mist rolls in. The river flows on. And Fengdu waits, eternal and patient, for the next soul to arrive.